As the owner of the company, it's our job to establish what standards we are going to have inside of our companies. Now, this is one of those topics where it's easy just to say, oh, this isn't important to me right now. I really need to know what type of lead generation. I need to know how to talk to sellers. I need to know a disposition strategy or what systems to be using. All of those are important as well. But over the grand scheme of things, over the long run, what will make your business sustainable is not a lead generation tactic, not a system that you're using, but really the standards as the business owner that you set. Because all those other things over the past 14 years of me being an entrepreneur have changed. However, having standards inside of these four walls as to every single person that comes and goes, that is what has allowed us to sustain as a business. So in this video, I'm going to give you 6 takeaways on how to set a standard of excellence inside of your business today. All right. Number 1, it is your job as the business owner to cast the vision for the mission. Now, this could be very tangible results where it's a specific revenue goal, specific amount of deals that you do. Whatever it is, make sure that everyone understands what is the mission for the company. This is important because you're going to reverse engineer what you do on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis based off of these goals. So it's important for this to be tangible where people understand what we're trying to achieve as a business. So then you can reverse engineer it, because one of the other takeaways from today's video, one of the 6 steps, is going to be contingent upon this being a tangible mission that you have as a business. So it's very important that you write something that is specific, detail-oriented, and everyone knows, hey, this is the mission that we're trying to accomplish. 2, establish that no one is bigger than the mission. Now, this is very important because as you get bigger as a company, you start scaling up, you start bringing in key players. You'll start realizing that some of these key players might do things. They might break a non-negotiable. They might show up late to a meeting. They might not do something the way that the standard has been set inside the company. You have to establish that nobody inside those 4 walls is bigger than the mission. Good example of this is a takeaway from a book that we read inside of Titanium University's book club, is the New England Patriots. Several years ago, they had the NFL's #1 cornerback, Darrelle Revis. Now, I'm a huge New England Patriots fan, and I remember this time. It was huge that we went out and we got Darrelle Revis. However, Darrelle Revis showed up late to a meeting. Bill Belichick said the rules are if you show up late to a meeting, you go home. You miss the whole day. No one was bigger than the mission that the New England Patriots had, even the entire league's best defensive back. Now, this is a huge statement that the head coach, Bill Belichick, sent to the entire team. Now, I'm not saying that you go out and if someone shows up 1 minute late, you send them home. However, you do need to have a standard that's set. You need to have rules that are in place. If this, then that. If you show up late, this is the repercussions. You're either written up, so many write-ups, there's a punishment, something to establish that nobody, even the key #1 players inside of your organization, are bigger than the mission. Now, you might be listening to this and say, well, right now, the entire team is me. Well, it's very important for you to establish these rules. So even getting started, this is where I see a lot of people, they never get out of the starting gates because they lack the self-accountability to even hold themselves accountable inside of their own business, their own mission. If you set a standard that you're going to start calling sellers at 10 a.m., then by God, the phone needs to be ringing at 10 a.m. Do not find yourself watching a YouTube video or getting lost in emails or sleeping or eating or doing something else besides attacking the mission based off the guidelines that you put for yourself. I say this all the time. If we have a rule that we are going to start picking the phones up and calling buyers and sellers at 9 a.m., do not show up at 9 a.m., start making your coffee, shooting the shit about fantasy football, what happened in the Longhorns game, what happened in the Cowboys game. None of that matters. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy being here. However, we have to have rules and we have to have standards inside of these walls to accomplish the mission. Nobody is bigger than that mission, so have non-negotiables. Oh, there's number 3, non-negotiables. All right, so recently inside of the university, when I do live seller call reviews, when we do comp reviews, we have non-negotiables. We have non-negotiables inside of our wholesaling business where it's like, hey, if you're calling a seller, you need to have specific boundaries, guardrails to what you're trying to accomplish as a business. So when I'm calling sellers, we use the closer's formula. We want to make sure that we're verifying, do they want to sell? We're verifying what their asking price is. We're finding out their motivation. And we're trying to be as perfect as we can be on these calls. When we're doing comp reviews, we have non-negotiables. We have to be able to do it. In order to do what we do nationwide, we have to have non-negotiables on how we comp properties. Otherwise, there's no way that we can bring someone in and put them in a seat and accomplish what someone else previously had done in that seat, because then it's willy-nilly, okay? We have to sit there and say, this is how you comp. This is how you talk to sellers. This is how you can establish that standard of excellence inside of your business. So whether that's showing up at a specific time, having a specific amount of offers made, contracts sent, dials made, all of these types of things are non-negotiables that you need to have inside of your business, and don't allow anybody to break these rules. The other thing is, if you set out and you say, hey, every single day, Monday through Friday, I'm going to call sellers for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, do not break that to do something else. This is where we see people get lost and they say, well, today was a rough day. I didn't talk to that many sellers because I got sidetracked with this or that. That's what creates that roller coaster effect as a wholesaler. You have to have non-negotiables to break that roller coaster effect. Number 4, be consistent with your standards, not a flash in the pan. Okay? Now, what I mean by this is, this is like one of the pet peeves that I have about leaders inside of their business. They decide they're going to have this company meeting and they're going to establish these standards. And then they're going to hold people accountable to those standards for like 2.5 days and then just go right back to where they were. You cannot do that. Otherwise, don't even waste your time. If you're going to set standards, the way that those standards become excellence is by being consistent within them, by consistently holding everyone accountable to the standards that you set. Whatever you set today needs to be the exact same standard that you're holding everyone accountable to 12 months from now. That's how you accomplish the mission that you set out in number 1. One of the things that I love about Titanium University is we're always learning from each other. Okay. And I'm seeing this inside of multiple different businesses where it's like, hey, I started getting to a certain level and then I hired or I partnered up with somebody, and 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, I had to let that person go. Was it truly that person's fault? Or was it the fact that as the business owner, you didn't set and hold that person accountable to the standards that you should have as a business? Number 5, Be detail oriented. This is extremely important, that when you are establishing the mission, that is detail oriented. When you are setting the non-negotiables that you have, you're detail oriented. Another story that came from the book, one of the books in book club, was another football analogy. Maybe the sports analogy stick with me longer than the other ones, but was former New York Giants head coach Tom Coughlin, who was a brilliant head coach. You know, he was a head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars and then also with the New York Giants. He had a non-negotiable that if the meeting was set to start at 9 a.m., the meeting actually started at 8:55. So every meeting started 5 minutes early. Very detail-oriented. However, this was a non-negotiable for him. So he was detail-oriented in his non-negotiables. His punishment, the accountability that he had, if you showed up late to a meeting that started 5 minutes early, so say it started at 9 and you showed up at 9, you were technically on time, but to them, their standard, you were 5 minutes late, he fined you $1,000. This is very detail-oriented. It's setting a standard of excellence. Across the board, you need to have very detail-oriented standards that you're setting. No matter what, don't allow anyone to be bigger than the mission. Make sure that they understand how they're supposed to do their job and be detail-oriented within it. And the last thing is, and this is very crucial and one of the things that people forget about, celebrate victories. You set out a mission for the team to accomplish. You're going to hold them accountable. You're going to be detail-oriented in holding them accountable and setting a standard when small victories are accomplished and you have that win. Celebrate it as a team. This is what creates momentum in your business, and it creates that ultimate buy-in from everyone to want to be a part of the victory, to want to be a part of that mission long term. If you are not doing this, people are going to lose the zest to be a part of your organization. They're going to say, what's the point? The facts are, even if it's a commission-based position, the majority of people are more motivated by being a part of something bigger than themselves and being bigger than just a commission check. Yeah, it's great to make money, but they want to be a part of the victory. They want to celebrate it. And they want to say, hey, we set out and we said we have a mission and I'm helping us accomplish that. So recognize those that are helping you along the way. Even if that's just you right now, you need to make sure that you're celebrating your own victories. So even if you're sitting there right now and you set out and your mission is just to do one wholesale deal a month, every single time you check that box and you get a deal done this month, celebrate that victory. That's a hell of a fucking victory for you. That's your goal. So celebrate those victories. So to recap, 1, cast the vision of the mission. 2, establish that no one is bigger than the mission. 3, have non-negotiables inside of your standards. 4, be consistent, not a flash in the pan with these standards. Hold everyone accountable. Whatever the standards are today, stick with that. Don't lose this feeling that you have for setting standards of excellence in your business. 5, be detail-oriented, okay? Make sure that whatever your standards are, they're very detailed so everyone understands what is the standard of excellence. And last, and certainly not least, when you win, celebrate the victories. Even the smallest of victories, make sure you're celebrating those. Let me know if I missed something in the comments. Make sure you give me a like, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow.